Kane's heart raced as he descended the creaky wooden stairs into the dimly lit basement of his new home. The previous owner had warned him about the place, mentioning something about strange noises at night, but Kane had brushed it off as typical superstition. The basement smelled musty, the air thick with the scent of old wood and neglect. Kane flicked on the light switch, but only a feeble glow illuminated the space, casting long, eerie shadows along the walls. As Kane began to explore, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every creak, every rustle made him jump. He reached the far corner of the basement, where an old bookshelf stood covered in cobwebs. Curiosity getting the better of him, Kane started to sift through the dusty tomes. That's when he found it. A journal, its leather cover cracked with age. Kane opened it, revealing pages filled with cramped handwriting. The entries spoke of strange occurrences in the house, of whispers in the night and shadows that moved on their own. Unease settled in the pit of Kane's stomach as he read on, each entry more unsettling than the last. He slammed the journal shut, the sound echoing in the silent basement. Something wasn't right about this place, and Kane was beginning to regret his decision to move in. But before he could dwell on his thoughts any longer, a sudden noise made him freeze. A soft whisper, barely audible, coming from the darkness behind him. Kane's heart pounded in his chest as he slowly turned around, his hand reaching for anything he could use as a weapon. The basement seemed to have grown darker, the shadows thicker, swallowing the feeble light from above. "Who's there?" Kane called out, his voice trembling despite his attempts to sound brave. There was no reply, only the sound of his own ragged breaths echoing off the walls. Kane took a cautious step forward, his eyes straining to pierce the darkness. But as he moved, the whispers grew louder, surrounding him from all sides. A chill ran down Kane's spine as he realized he was not alone. Something, or someone, was lurking in the shadows, watching his every move. With a surge of determination, Kane pressed on, determined to uncover the truth behind the haunting whispers and eerie atmosphere of the basement. He searched every nook and cranny, his fear slowly giving way to frustration. But just as he was about to give up hope, Kane stumbled upon a hidden door, its hinges rusty with age. With trembling hands, he pushed it open, revealing a staircase leading even deeper into the darkness. Without hesitation, Kane descended into the depths, his heart pounding in his ears. What he found at the bottom would change his life forever. As Kane descended the staircase into the depths of the basement, the air grew colder, sending shivers down his spine. He gripped the railing tightly, his heart racing with anticipation and fear. At the bottom of the stairs, Kane found himself in a small, dimly lit chamber. The walls were lined with shelves, each filled with jars and containers covered in dust and cobwebs. Intrigued, Kane approached one of the shelves and lifted a jar, peering inside. What he saw made his blood run cold, a collection of strange, preserved specimens, each more grotesque than the last. Some appeared to be animals, distorted and twisted beyond recognition, while others seemed almost human. A sense of dread washed over Kane as he realized the true nature of the basement. This wasn't just a storage space, it was a macabre laboratory, filled with the remnants of twisted experiments. As he continued to explore, Kane found notes scattered amongst the jars, detailing the experiments conducted by the previous owner. The entries spoke of forbidden rituals, of dark magic practiced in secret beneath the house. Suddenly, Kane understood the whispers, the strange noises that had plagued the house since he moved in. The basement was a gateway to something sinister, something that should never have been unleashed. But before Kane could process his discovery any further, he heard a sound behind him, a low guttural growl echoing through the chamber. He spun around to confront the source of the noise, only to come face to face with something beyond his worst nightmares. Before Kane stood a grotesque creature, its form twisted and contorted in ways that defied comprehension. Its eyes gleamed with malevolence, fixated on Kane with an intensity that sent a chill down his spine. Fear surged through Kane as he realized the true horror of what lurked in the depths of the basement. This creature, this abomination, was the source of the whispers, the shadows that haunted the house. With trembling hands, Kane reached for anything he could use as a weapon. A broken shard of glass, a rusted pipe. But he knew deep down that he was no match for the creature before him. Desperation clawed at Kane's mind as he searched for a way out. But the staircase was nowhere to be seen. Trapped in the darkness with no means of escape, he could only watch helplessly as the creature advanced, its twisted form contorting with each step. But just as all hope seemed lost, Kane remembered the journal he had found earlier. The journal that spoke of dark rituals and forbidden magic. With a surge of determination, he retrieved the journal from his pocket, flipping through its pages frantically. And then he found it, a spell hidden amongst the madness and despair. With shaking hands, Kane began to recite the incantation, the words flowing from his lips like a desperate prayer. To his surprise, the creature faltered, its form wavering as if caught in a powerful wind. Kane pressed on, pouring every ounce of his will into the spell, until finally, with a deafening roar, the creature vanished into thin air. Exhausted but triumphant, Kane sank to his knees, the weight of his ordeal finally crashing down upon him. But as he looked around the chamber, he knew that his journey was far from over. The basement held many secrets, and Kane was determined to uncover them all, no matter the cost. With the creature banished, and the basement once again shrouded in silence, Kane took a moment to collect himself. He knew he couldn't stay in this place any longer, not with the horrors that lurked beneath the surface. Gathering his strength, Kane made his way back up the stairs, each step a reminder of the darkness he had faced below. But as he reached the top, he was greeted by a sight that sent a chill down his spine. The basement door was gone, replaced by a solid wall of brick and mortar. Panic surged through Kane as he realized he was trapped, cut off from the outside world by some unseen force. But he refused to give in to despair, his mind already racing with plans for escape. Turning his attention back to the basement, Kane began to search for clues, determined to unravel the mystery of the house once and for all. He combed through every inch of the chamber, examining every jar, every note, in search of answers. And slowly, painstakingly, the pieces began to fall into place. Kane discovered that the previous owner had been a practitioner of dark magic, using the basement as a laboratory for his twisted experiments. But something had gone horribly wrong, unleashing a malevolent force that now threatened to consume everything in its path. Armed with this knowledge, Kane formulated a plan. He would find a way to break the barrier sealing the basement, to rid the house of the darkness that had taken root within its walls. Days turned into weeks as Kane worked tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of the basement. He studied ancient texts, consulted with experts in the occult, leaving no stone unturned in his quest for answers. And finally, after much trial and error, Kane discovered a ritual, a powerful incantation that could break the barrier sealing the basement and banish the darkness once and for all. With a mixture of fear and determination, Kane set to work, gathering the necessary ingredients and preparing for the ritual. The air crackled with energy as he recited the incantation, the words echoing through the house like a solemn hymn. And then, with a blinding flash of light, the barrier shattered, crumbling away to reveal the basement beyond. But to his surprise, the basement was empty, the shelves bare, the jars and containers gone without a trace. It was as if the darkness had never been there at all. Confused but relieved, Kane made his way back up the stairs, emerging into the warm embrace of sunlight streaming through the windows. The house felt different now, lighter somehow, as if a great weight had been lifted from its foundations. Carl had always been intrigued by the basement of his family's old Victorian house. It was a place shrouded in mystery, with its cobwebbed corners and dimly lit corners. From a young age, he had been warned to stay away from it by his parents, who always seemed uneasy whenever the topic arose. But curiosity gnawed at him relentlessly, and as he grew older, the urge to explore the basement only intensified. One stormy night, with the rain lashing against the windows and thunder rumbling ominously in the distance, Carl decided it was time to uncover the secrets hidden beneath his home. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of trepidation, he made his way down the creaky stairs into the darkness below. The air was thick with dust, and the musty scent of age assaulted his senses. Carl's heart pounded in his chest as he swept the beam of his flashlight across the room, revealing old furniture draped in white sheets and boxes stacked haphazardly against the walls. But something else caught his eye. A small wooden door tucked away in a corner, almost hidden from view. With trembling hands, Carl approached the door and turned the rusty handle. It groaned open reluctantly, revealing a narrow passageway that disappeared into the blackness beyond. Without hesitation, he stepped inside, his flashlight cutting through the darkness like a knife. As he ventured deeper into the bowels of the basement, Carl's unease grew. The walls seemed to close in around him, and strange shadows danced in the flickering light. But he pressed on, driven by a determination to uncover the truth. Finally, he reached the end of the passage, where he was met with a sight that sent shivers down his spine. Before him stood a heavy metal door, its surface etched with strange symbols and glyphs. It was a door unlike any he had ever seen, and he couldn't shake the feeling that it held something malevolent behind it. With a trembling hand, Carl reached out and pushed against the door. To his surprise, it swung open easily, revealing a room bathed in an eerie green light. And there, in the center of the room, stood a pedestal adorned with a gleaming artifact, a dagger with a blade so sharp it seemed to shimmer in the dim light. But before Carl could take another step, he heard a voice echoing in the darkness, chilling him to the bone. "You should not have come here, Carl," it whispered, sending a shiver down his spine. "For you have awakened something that should have remained hidden." Carl's blood ran cold as the voice echoed through the chamber, its words sinking into his very soul. He stumbled backward, his heart pounding in his chest as fear gripped him like a vice. Who, or what, was speaking to him from the shadows? Before he could gather his wits, a figure emerged from the darkness, its form shrouded in swirling mist. It was a woman, her features obscured by the ethereal haze that surrounded her. But there was something unmistakably sinister about her presence, something that sent a chill down Carl's spine. "Who are you?" he managed to stammer, his voice barely above a whisper. The woman's lips curled into a wicked smile, and she took a step closer, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. "I am the guardian of this place," she said, her voice dripping with malice. "And you, Carl, have trespassed where you do not belong." Carl's mind raced as he tried to make sense of the situation. What had he stumbled upon in the depths of his basement? And what did this mysterious woman want from him? But before he could find the answers, the ground began to shake violently beneath his feet, sending him sprawling to the ground. The walls of the chamber seemed to close in around him, suffocating him with their oppressive presence. Desperate to escape, Carl scrambled to his feet and made a run for the exit, his heart pounding in his ears. But as he reached the doorway, he felt a searing pain shoot through his chest, causing him to cry out in agony. Looking down, he saw that the artifact, the dagger, had embedded itself in his flesh, its blade pulsing with an otherworldly energy. And as darkness closed in around him, Carl realized the true horror of what he had unleashed. As Carl's consciousness slipped away, he felt a cold, creeping sensation enveloping him, as if the very shadows of the basement were reaching out to claim him. His last thoughts were of regret, of the foolishness that had led him to this moment of reckoning. When he awoke, it was to a world of darkness. Disoriented and weak, Carl struggled to make sense of his surroundings. He found himself lying on a cold, stone floor, surrounded by the oppressive weight of the basement's walls. With a shudder, Carl remembered the events that had led him here. The forbidden journey into the depths, the encounter with the mysterious guardian, and the dagger's cruel embrace. But as he tried to push himself upright, he realized with horror that he was no longer alone. From the shadows emerged twisted, grotesque figures, their forms distorted and their eyes glinting with hunger. They moved with an unnatural grace, slithering closer to Carl with each passing moment. Panicked, Carl scrambled to his feet, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew he had to escape, to find a way out of this nightmare before it consumed him entirely. But as he searched for an exit, he found none. Only endless corridors that seemed to twist and turn upon themselves, leading him deeper into the heart of darkness. With each passing moment, Carl could feel the malevolent presence of the basement closing in around him, suffocating him with its suffocating embrace. And as he stumbled forward, his strength waning with every step, he realized with a sinking heart that there was no escape from the horrors that lurked beneath his own home. In the end, Carl's fate was sealed by the darkness that dwelled within him, a darkness that had been awakened by his own curiosity, and that would consume him utterly. And as he disappeared into the depths of the basement, his screams echoed through the empty corridors, a chilling reminder of the price of trespassing where one does not belong.